Live pictures continue to come in from Parliament as the first half of the ceremony is still underway. On your screens, Prime Minister Modi, accompanied by the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, along with the BJP President JP Nadda, are in fact on your screens at the moment. Remember, as per the schedule, the Prime Minister is going to be going into the chambers of Parliament. That's expected to happen now. The examination of chambers of Parliament is expected to happen now. There's then going to be a program in the Lok Sabha chambers, another prayer ceremony in the Parliament lobby, after which the Prime Minister will depart, and then a formal ceremony will in fact be taking place. Very powerful visuals there. The Prime Minister seeking blessings of the pontiffs who have come in. A ceremony was in fact performed, a puja ceremony was performed. The Sengol was in fact placed, the sceptre placed in the chambers of Parliament, and after which there was an all-religion prayer that was in fact conducted in order to mark this momentous inauguration of India's new Parliament. What we are getting to you are pictures from the Sengol ceremony that took place a short while ago, along with live pictures that we are getting from Parliament at the moment. Like I said, this is the first half of the inauguration ceremony. We also have guests with us in the studio. We have Mr. Makhan Lal, historian and professor. We have Sanjay Singh, senior journalist, both with us. Thank you both. You've been listening in and watching the ceremony very patiently. Let me get in quick reactions from you. Mr. Lal, to you first. You know, it is a momentous occasion, no doubt. And the Sengol ceremony, you know, has a lot of significance. Could you explain more to our viewers?
Sengol is a Tamil word for something which was known earlier in Sanskrit literature as Rajdand. And first description of Rajdand, detailed description, we find in Panini. And Panini means minimum age would be 800 BC. That's almost about 3,000 years back. You get the reference of the Rajdand. Then you get the reference of detailed reference in Kautilya's Arthashastra and Smritis. Significance of Rajdand is a kind of symbolism where Kautilya or Smritis or Panini, they all say Rajdand is symbol which constantly reminds the ruler that he has to be just with the public.
Right.
And what Smritis say, if the ruler is not just, this very Rajdand will fall on him, not only on him, but his entire family, and that will get destroyed. Smritis give the example of Nandavansh, which was completely destroyed. They said that Nandas completely ignored Rajdand, and that is why it is called Rajdharma also. Rajdand is directly related with something called Rajdharma. Rajdharma is something, everybody's welfare you have to take care.
Right. What we've been learning and understanding, you know, about this particular sceptre is the fact that it, in a certain sense, symbolizes the transfer of power. Dates back to the Chola dynasty. You've, of course, anecdotally narrated a different aspect of it. But there's been a fair bit of controversy about that as well, as there has been with everything associated with the inauguration of the new Parliament. But that aside, you know, what is the significance of what we are seeing on our screens? The sceptre being handed to Prime Minister Modi by the seers who've come specially from Tamil Nadu. You know, an entire puja ceremony was performed, after which, you know, we saw those very powerful pictures of the Prime Minister holding that sceptre, walking into the chambers of the new Parliament and actually placing it there next to the Speaker's chair. What does all of this symbolize in 21st century Indian democracy?
You see, 21st century has not suddenly come. It has been built from BCs to AD, from 1st century. You have not come on 21st century fallen from the sky. 21st century has been built from, you know, BCs and AD, right from 1st century to 20th centuries you have passed. Then only you have come on 21st centuries. So 21st century has been built up on 2000 years of AD period. You cannot forget just because you are 21st century.
But
you cannot
that's what
forget
I'm trying to
your
understand.
roots.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
So
what does this symbolize?
when you are strong and old, will you forget your childhood? Will you forget your mother? Will you forget your parents?
Okay, so it
that is what the
back to
heritage is all
history, but
about.
what does it signify?
It signifies very clearly continuity of reminding your responsibility. And as you say, what does it signify? It is not for a particular ruler. It is for the ruler. Whoever will become the ruler, he will be handed over. Recently, very recently, you must have watched the ceremony of Prince Charles being anointed as king.
Yes.
And did you notice the Rajadand given to him, a small stick? And that parampara is a long old parampara. And it is always given by the priest with lot of rituals, lot of things involved, because there is a concept of divinity in sceptre.
Right.
It's not a small walking stick as it was written in Rajbhavan. I come from Allahabad. I was born and brought up. So I have been several times to Rajbhavan and also municipal corporation. Every time my heart sank and I spoke to that this is not walking stick, it is Rajadand. I must confess that I didn't know exactly Sengol Tamil word, but Rajadand is the word. And they said, what can we do? This is what we have been told to write. So ignorance is there very much, but at the same time, it is given with lot of ritual invocation in the name of God. It is not a stick being given. God's name is attached there. And look at where it is placed in parliament. It is given, Rajadand is always given to ruler. But look at this moment. It is not at the side of the where Prime Minister sits in the corner on the front bench. It is not there. It's not with the speaker. It is behind a speaker's chair, and look at it is higher than a speaker. Look at this symbolism that Rajadand is being reminding to everybody. Everybody is being reminded here is Rajadand, and everybody has to accept.
Interesting. Sanjay Singh, before I come to you, just to let our viewers know, those are live pictures that we are getting from outside Parliament at the moment, pictures from outside of North Block, and presumably that is Prime Minister Modi actually leaving the Parliament premises. Remember, there are two parts to the inauguration ceremony, as we've been talking. The prayer ceremony in the morning, which appears to have now concluded, and this will of course be followed by a more formal inauguration that will in fact take place post 11:30 a.m. The Prime Minister has returned at the moment. There was a prayer ceremony in the Parliament lobby, a prayer ceremony in the Pandal. The sceptre has been installed in the Parliament. The Prime Minister was seen walking through the chambers with that sceptre. Very powerful visuals from just a short while ago. But it appears that the first half of the inauguration ceremony, Sanjay Singh, can we say the first half of the inauguration ceremony perhaps has concluded, and now there will be the more formal opening that will follow?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at it, the visuals looks like he is going to his office in South Block, and maybe the second half will begin because a whole lot of programs are lined up till afternoon. What was significant, him bowing or prostrating, the sastang that we say at precincts of Parliament when he was going for puja, and he was going to receive that sceptre or Sengol. We saw similar pictures when he came first to Parliament as Prime Minister designate. We also saw similar pictures of him doing a sastang when he had gone for Ayodhya Bhumi Pujan and also in Varanasi. So he attaches certain things of his own belief and faith to situations like this, when either he or his actions or the positions he is going to take at something to next level, which has larger dimensions, social, political, economic, and everything included. Him also wearing a dhoti, which he generally does not. He generally wears a pajama. But I've seen on occasions when he is actually going to perform a puja, he wears a dhoti and maybe changes that afterwards. But what these symbolism actually attach or suggest that you are in continuity with your traditional cultural civilizational heritage.
But there's been a lot of emphasis, to prayers being offered. I mean, one just by recalling from recent memory, whether it was the Prime Minister's visit to Kashi Vishwanath, whether it is the Prime Minister, laying the foundation stone at Ayodhya, the puja that happened in Ayodhya, whether it is what we are seeing happen now. So like you said, of course, a lot of importance accorded to prayers. But in a certain sense, it's also a very integral part of anything new that's happening. Is this, would you say, a shift from what we've seen happen in the past before Prime Minister Modi's tenure? Is this something which is very typical of this Prime Minister?
I wouldn't say that, just that today it is more manifested. If you go to Parliament House, you find the old Parliament House, new Parliament House we are yet to see,
Yes.
as we have only seen pictures. You have Sanskrit slokas written all over, in all the chambers. And they are beautiful Sanskrit slokas. Even our Constitution of India has depiction from our mythology and from our scriptures.
Sure.
So in all the buildings that have come up, new buildings, I think there was a puja held, the Bhumi Pujan, as we say, breaking of ground in English you say, but actually that's Bhumi Pujan. What has happened, this has become more manifest and people have started noticing and talking about it. Just that
And television channels beaming it as
television
well.
channels have a whole lot
Taking
of
it
debate.
to every home,
Why
yes.
Sceptre, Hindu thing, Hindu supremacy and faith being replaced by secularism, so on and so forth. The issue here was, what matters is Prime Minister Modi and his government is trying to convey a message where what he called Vikas bhi, Virasat bhi. Your social, cultural, civilizational heritage is very important
Okay.
in progress of a country. You know your past.
Right.
You have to be proud of your past, and India has a glorious past in terms of our culture and civilization, in terms of diversity, in terms of its integration into one nation. And therefore, when you see these things, you actually get a certain sense of pride or some kind of belongingness. And therefore, you say, if the puja
How
is
would
done
you-
as per Sanatan Hindu Riti,
Right.
you have a whole lot of other
No,
spiritual
and this was
religious
an
gurus.
all religion prayer that actually took
Precisely.
place.
Precisely.
You know, there were chants in all possible languages. You know, referring to all the different gods, all the different beliefs. So it was an all religion prayer that was held. But there has been much talk, Mr. Lal, about you know, precedents in history when it comes to a momentous occasion like this, and whether it is befitting of the office of the Prime Minister or the office of the President to actually have carried out a ceremony like this.
I think if you take the examples around the world, when American president, who calls himself demigod of secularism, how does he take his oath? What is there in the Bible which makes him to put his hand? And Sanjay Singh ji very rightly pointed out how deeply all these cultural ethos are there. If you look at the Constitution, unfortunately 20 pages has been, not 20 pages, actually not more than 3 pages it will involve. Look at the depictions that are there in the Constitution. Rama's return from Ayodhya, Buddha's incarnation and his enlightenment, Akbar is there, so Mahavir is there, Buddha is there. All these are coming from tradition. When we talk about the fundamental rights, you know what is the depiction there? Rama coming from Lanka to Ayodhya in Viman. So these were all very much part of, ingrained in the Constitution. But somewhere, first decision which was wrong is to take away the depiction out of their context. Now the Constitution copies you get either from Parliament or you market, they have no depiction. It was never imagined that integral part of Constitution will be taken away.
Okay.
So tradition
Sanjal
should be
Shastri, an
taken away.
independent, right?
It was
Sanjal
correctly.
Shastri, an independent researcher, also joining us on the broadcast. Thanks for being with us on NDTV this morning. But of course, you know, tracking the Parliament inauguration, and you know what we are seeing on our screens is that the first half of the inauguration, which was a puja and the placing of the Sengol in Parliament chambers, that has been completed, and now in a short while from now we'll see a more formal inauguration take place. Sanjal Shastri, initial comments on what we've seen happen so far.
I think leaving all the controversy aside, just the fact that you're inaugurating a new parliament, it's a momentous occasion, you know, as students of politics, and also in a democracy, the parliament is one of the most important symbols of democracy. And what we are seeing today is a momentous occasion that you're having a new parliament inaugurated. And 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, when students of politics and students of Indian democracy get into the classrooms, these, this is a symbol that would be very important. So the broader symbolism of this is quite an important takeaway from what's happened today morning. So that's my initial takeaway from this. And I think moving forward, what the Parliament House, the Lok Sabha, symbolized for the first generation of Indians from 1947 till today, the future generations will start to look at this new structure as a seat of Indian democracy.
All right. Maya Sharma also still with us. Maya, you were listening and watching, that entire first half of the ceremony, which is concluded. All religion prayers were offered, Maya.
Yes, it was good to see that. I mean, there is, of course, that question about how much religion should be involved in a secular country's inauguration of a parliament building. But having prayers from every single religion was a very good move because, of course, it did start as a very Hindu festival, very, very Hindu function. Of course, the question will remain about the prominence played by the Prime Minister at this point. I'm sure that will be a sticking point with the opposition party still. He was in practically every frame of the inaugural ceremony. So that will be a thing for the opposition parties, the sealing of the Delhi borders as well. There are lots of other factors as well outside of this very attractive ceremony within the Parliament House. And what happens inside Parliament, of course, still a matter of debate for the opposition parties. But going ahead, let us just hope that everything does come together and that Parliament does function as it should in the world's largest democracy. This function, of course, a very important day for India in terms of this brand new Parliament building, and hope that going ahead, democracy will be able to survive and flourish in this country of ours.
All right. Well, thank you all for initial comments. Like I said, the first half of the Parliament's inauguration, the puja has been completed. The more formal inauguration ceremony is going to be underway in a few hours from now. We'll continue to get you all the latest live updates from this grand inauguration ceremony. All that and more coming up on the other side of a short break.